Welcome to Transforming Our World, where we explore how a God centered mind and heart can transform politics, religion, philosophy, leadership, lifestyle, and society. This is episode number 5. Today, we're examining a subject that concerns every family, every community, every institution, and every nation. That is the family and the power of tradition, preserving what is good and confronting what is harmful. This is your Frimpong's network. Now, before a child enters society, that child first enters a home, and then before a child meets the world, the child first meets a family. This means that the family is the first school of life. A child doesn't learn love, honesty, discipline, faith, respect, and character from any government or any school or church or the social media. The child first learns these things from the people at home. It therefore means that the home is not just a place where people eat, sleep, and grow, but then it is a first center of leadership, the first place of worship. It is a first training ground for citizenship. Now, long before society influences a child, the family has already begun shaping the child's heart, his behavior, and understanding of life. And children, they learn character not only from what adults tell them, but from what adults repeatedly do. It means that a child learns love by watching how people in the home treat one another. A child learns discipline by watching parents work, how they manage time, speak, and handle responsibility. A child learns respect by watching how adults treat elders. They treat children, strangers, they treat workers and people who cannot even benefit them. Now imagine a small boy sitting quietly in the living room while his parents discuss money, and someone has mistakenly transferred extra money into the bank account of the father. Nobody outside the home knows about it, and the father could keep the money and remain silent. But then the boy hears his father say, "This money doesn't belong to me, I must return it." And the child may not understand banking, the child may not understand financial law or business ethics, but in that moment, he learns something powerful. He learns the truth. And truth is not all important when people are watching. Truth matters because the creator of our world is also watching. And now imagine another home. The telephone rings. Then the mother looks at the screen and tells her child, "Tell them I'm not at home." The child looks at the mother. She's sitting right there. Now, nobody gives the child a formal lesson about dishonesty. Nobody openly says lying is good. But then, the lesson has already been taught. The child has learned that truth may be changed whenever it becomes inconvenient. And years later, when that child lies at school, when she lies at work, in marriage or in business, or lies in public office, then society may condemn the behavior, but then the seed may have been planted quietly inside the home. And so it means that the home can also become the first place where harmful behavior is accepted. Children may learn hatred, they may learn dishonesty, violence, abuse, racism, and selfishness when these things are tolerated or practiced by adults. And when families normalize wrong behavior, children may carry same attitude into society. It means that before violence reaches the street, it may first be normalized inside a home. A boy who grows up watching anger treated as strength may later now believe that shouting, threatening, or hitting is a normal way to solve problems. And a girl who grows up hearing that silence is respect may later accept abuse because she was never taught that dignity matters. Now, before bad leadership destroys institutions, it may first be learned through pride, control, and irresponsibility in the home. And when children grow up under leaders who never listen, leaders who never apologize and never accept correction, they may later repeat the same pattern in marriage, the same pattern in ministry and in politics and in business. Now consider another home. A father becomes angry and speaks harshly to his child. Later, after reflecting on his behavior, he returns and says, I was wrong. I shouldn't have spoken to you that way. Please forgive me. Now, that moment may appear small, but it is powerful. Why? The child learns that authority doesn't remove accountability. The child learns that strength can apologize. And the child learns that leaders can also admit when they are wrong. And he learns that correction and love can exist together. A God centered heart doesn't pretend to be perfect. In fact, it is humble enough to repent. And this is the kind of home that transforms the world. A home where truth is practiced and mistakes are corrected, prayer is sincere and love is demonstrated, and children are intentionally formed, and dignity is protected, and leadership is shown through service rather than control. And so we know that in actual fact, the family matters because it does more than raise children. It shapes the people who will later influence our society. And when the home forms people with truth, humility, discipline, and compassion, now society receives builders. But when it forms people who, with pride, with greed, with fear, and hatred, and irresponsibility, then society receives destroyers. And many of the problems we condemn in public life may have their private roots, rooted from the home. And before corruption enters public life, it may first be accepted at the family table. And when a child sees adult celebrating someone who became rich through dishonest means, the child may learn that money is more important than integrity. And so, before racism also becomes a national problem, it may first be taught through jokes, through warnings and careless comments made at home by adults. So that if leadership in the home always meant control, if they meant intimidation and unquestioned power, that person may later mistake domination for spiritual authority. And that is for for pastors who abuse their spiritual authority. Therefore, if we want to transform politics, religion, leadership, philosophy, and our society, we must begin with the family. All of them, they need a change. Politics needs family that raise people. Religion needs family that teach truth and faith and humility and reverence for God. And leadership needs families that form people with service, courage, discipline, accountability. Because leadership without character now becomes control. And a strong family teaches truth, dignity, and freedom, good habits, healthy relationship, hard work, and self-control. When these values are formed at home, people are more likely to build society instead of destroying it. Again, a God-centered mind and heart can transform the family because they change when the family is ready for a change. A God-centered home doesn't only care about success, respect, comfort, or school performance. It also asks whether the family is truthful, obedient to the creator of our world, and whether children are becoming people of good character. And this is where transformation begins. A transformed society doesn't necessarily begin only with new laws or new leaders or new systems or new institutions. Now, these things matter, these things are good, but they are not enough. A society is transformed when the hearts of people are transformed, and many hearts are first shaped inside the family. There was once a young girl who watched her mother pray every morning before leaving for work. Now, the mother was not rich. Life was not easy for the family. Sometimes bills were even difficult to pay, and sometimes food was difficult to come by. And sometimes people would treat her unfairly, but the girl noticed something. Her mother didn't allow hardship to make her bitter. The mother prayed, worked hard, worked honestly, spoke respectfully to people, and helped people even when she had little. And years later, the girl now became a nurse. And when tired patients complained, she remembered her mother's patience. When she had the chance to neglect people, she remembered her mother's service. When she was tempted to become hard, she remembered her mother's prayers. And one woman's good centered life in a small home now became a seed of healing in a hospital. And that is why families transform the world. Not always through loud announcement, not always through public platform. And sometimes the world is transformed through a mother who teaches patience, a father who models honesty, grandparents who preserve prayer, and siblings who learn to forgive one another. So the first practice lesson is this: never underestimate what children are learning by watching. They are watching how adults speak when they are angry. They are watching how money is handled. They are watching how guests are treated. They are watching how the weak are protected. They are watching how leaders behave when they are corrected. They are also watching whether the creator of our world is only mentioned in the church or is honored in our homes. And so a God centered heart and mind must first transform the home, because the home forms the people who later enter the world. When families raise children with love, with discipline and humility and courage and faith and responsibility, they are not only raising children, they are preparing builders of society. But when we speak about family, we must also speak about tradition. Now, tradition is more than clothes, it's more than just food and music and language or festivals. It is a bridge between the past, the present, and the future. And it helps people understand where they come from, who they are, and who they may become. And so, through tradition, the memories and struggles and sacrifices, the beliefs and the values and the wisdom of previous generations are passed down. Good tradition can teach courage, gratitude, responsibility, and respect. Good tradition reminds children that they are not alone, and remind families that they have a history. And every tradition that have a responsibility is a good tradition. And that is why good traditions matters. Good tradition can preserve wisdom and discipline and identity. And a tradition of family prayer can also teach children dependence on God. A tradition of respecting elders can teach humility and gratitude. A tradition of family gatherings can also reduce loneliness and strengthen identity. A tradition of hospitality is able to teach children to welcome strangers and serve others. But then, when tradition is not always correct, then what do we say? Some traditions teach children to respect elders, but others teach them to fear questions. Respect is good, but fear is not the same as respect. A child should learn to honor elders, but a child should not be silent when something is going wrong. Some traditions teach hospitality, but others protect abuse behind the words. This is how we do things. And when culture is used to silence victims and protect abusers or excuse injustice, that tradition now becomes dangerous. Some traditions preserve faith, but others preserve empty religion without love, justice, or truth. A family may attend church or a mosque and pray loudly or quote scriptures, but if the home is full of cruelty, hypocrisy, and injustice, then religion has lost its heart. So let us say it clearly and loudly that not everything old is holy. Not everything is right. Not everything inherited deserves to continue. Not everything our ancestors practiced was wisdom, and some of it was survival, some of it was ignorance, some of it was fear, and some of it was injustice wearing cultural clothing. And that is why tradition must be examined with wisdom. And the question is not simply, should tradition be respected? Now, respect alone is not enough. But the deeper question is, which tradition built the family and society, and which quietly destroyed them? And so a wise family shouldn't ask, what did our ancestors do? It must rather ask, was it right? Did it produce love? Did it protect dignity? Did it teach truth? Did our tradition build justice? Did it form godly character? So that if a tradition teaches a child to love, to respect, forgive, and work hard, and fear God, and protect human dignity, preserve it. Preserve tradition that teach children to greet people respectfully, care for the elderly, honor marriage, value education, pray together, work honestly, and help the vulnerable. These traditions strengthen families and bless society and the whole world. But if a tradition teaches a child to hate, dominate and discriminate and abuse and lie and confront others by insulting people, reject that. Confront traditions that treat women as inferior. Confront it. Confront tradition that silence children when they report abuse and excuse violent behavior. Now, these traditions may be old, but they are not righteous. The future doesn't need every tradition, to be honest with you. The future needs tradition that are purified. Now, purified tradition means keeping what gives life and rejecting what destroys dignity. It means honoring the past without becoming a prisoner of the past. It means respecting ancestors without respecting their mistakes. It means passing down wisdom and not bondage. And tradition without love becomes bondage. Culture without justice now becomes oppression. And religion without love now becomes hypocrisy. And leadership without humility also becomes control. And families without correction now becomes a factory for broken people. Now, these things happen when customs are obeyed without truth, when culture and pride and excuses injustice, rituals replace mercy, and authority refuses correction, and the home protests wrong behavior instead of confronting it. And society will always pay the price for what the home refuses to confront. And if families refuse to correct dishonesty, society will suffer correction. If families refuse to correct prejudice, society will suffer racism and tribalism. If families refuse to correct violence, society will suffer abuse and insecurity. If families refuse to correct pride, society will suffer bad leadership. If families refuse to correct selfishness, then society will suffer broken communities. And before evil now becomes public, it is often tolerated in private. And before society collapses outside, something has already been neglected inside the home. That is why the question is not, do you have tradition? Every family has tradition, whether it is a spoken one or unspoken one. But the real question is, what kind of human beings are your tradition producing? Are your traditions producing people who love the truth, respect others, protect the vulnerable, honor the creator of our world, and build society? Or are they producing fear, pride, silence, abuse, division, and injustice? And this is the challenge before every family, before every community, and the entire nations of our world, that we must preserve what is good and confront what is harmful and correct what is broken and pass on what gives lives. A family that does this now becomes more than a private household. It becomes a place of healing, a place of truth, a place of discipline, dignity, and generational transformation. Now, the practical takeaway is simple. What is repeated in a home is produced in the world. Therefore, let the home become a place where God shapes the heart, renews the mind, corrects what is wrong, and forms people who carry light into society. The future of the society is often decided inside the home long before it appears in public. This is transforming our world. I am Desmond. Let us build families that heal generation, preserve truth, and transform society. See you again in the next podcast.